You're about to play an unfinished level from The Last of Us Part 2. The reason we added this section is there are a few sequences, and we picked the 3 of the best ones, that we cut from the game. Often we build a game that's much bigger than what ends up being the final product. They were months away from being finished, but we wanted to give you an insight of what it's like when we built the game, because often we have this whole thing constructed and it doesn't have final art or audio or dialogue. And here you get to see the building blocks of what it's like when we first string a bunch of these levels together. This is the intro to the first deleted level, and this one is the roughest of the 3. We wanted to show more of how Jackson operates. So this is the festival where Ellie ultimately kisses Dina. This sequence would have come very late in the game as a flashback sequence while you're in the farm with Dina. And we wanted to show what is the rest of Jackson doing, and wanted to put on the stick, make it interactive. So you could see when you're outside, there are all these almost like carnival games that you can play. You could mix drinks, you could play with these kids that are playing a sort of clicker Marco Polo, sit down and listen to conversations. And all the different interactions were first or second pass, very, very early passes. The building blocks are there, but nothing is final. And ultimately, while we were very excited by this sequence, it's pretty fun and lighthearted. It just slowed things too much as we're barreling towards the end of the story at this point. So again, reminder, rough, missing audio, missing animation, missing gameplay tweaks, missing dialogue, but pretty representative of what it would have been. So enjoy.
Originally, this level was going to transition us to farm. We would go all the way through to the dance, where Ellie and Dina share their first kiss. Then we would play through farm, and when Ellie plays the guitar at night, she would remember the Seth incident. So, the opening for this was a little tricky. We needed it to match at least a little what you might expect emotionally coming from prior beats, because we were already purposefully disorienting you in time and space. Remember, you just came from this huge fight. To jump straight into it would have been a little too jarring. After some back and forth, we rooted it in Ellie's nerves, calling back to her hands shaking in the theater. But this time, for a much more innocuous reason we'll find out later. She's nervous because she has a crush on Dina, who is the only reason why she's here at the dance. Something we really wanted to do was highlight the way their lives had turned upside down since she went down this path. We had this idea of recontextualizing all of our usual gameplay mechanics that were designed for really violent ends. The workbench, door bashes, throwable weapons, and even the infected, which is my personal favorite. Peppered throughout the level are moments of levity or shared history, all the while seeing how happy and mundane they all were before her huge revenge odyssey. It is not a festival without one of these throwing games. This one, of course, uses our throwable system where you're often chucking explosive things or stunning things, but for a more wholesome purpose, although some people take this game really seriously. A fun aspect of this is if you did well, you could win a toy here. Ellie would place it in her pocket. If you had done this, you'd find the toy with JJ, the baby, later back at the farm. When we cut this, the toy made it through anyway because it was so cute. It is the same one you see on the tractor at the farm. Ollie the elephant. The makeup artist is pretty simple. It's one of those little in-game scenes we peppered in to make it feel like Ellie had roots in the town. Hallie, our writer, mentioned that in her mind, an ex-girlfriend of Ellie's tattooed her arm to cover up her scar. So we figured this might be the only time you get to see that. We wanted to hint at it and allude to it and make it feel like there had been so much more that had been happening and so much more that Ellie threw away. This is one of my favorite sections because I think that it achieves both the slice of life aspect of Jackson while also being a stark reminder of how dark the world that they live in really, really is. To attract attention and curiosity, one of the kids was supposed to make this adorable, messed up little clicker impression, and the others would giggle. We tried a version where if you got close enough, the kid might try to follow you a little before turning back. Since clickers are blind and move by echolocation, for this game of messed up tag, Ellie must close her eyes and listen for when the children give themselves away. The thought was that these kids are in relative safety. They still grow up with the dangers of clickers and runners, and all those lessons would embed themselves in the games that they play. When the festival got cut, they tried to preserve this moment and move it to the front of the game where the snowball fight is, as a tutorial. However, being in the headspace of a clicker doesn't really teach you how to deal with them. Eventually, it evolved, and they instead made the snowball fight, which was, I think, way more effective. For me, it's character illuminating that not only does Ellie know this game, she plays along. There's a familiarity with the kids that's really nice to see, especially because it's such a difference from the Ellie we see later, who has a sort of hollow normalcy that she's trying to get with JJ, but kind of fails. We use our workbench a lot to make a lot of things that kill and maim and hurt people. Here, we had the silly idea of using the same feel, harkening back to the same animations, using the exact same UI to instead fix a drink. Like the workbench, you could pick your base and then you could add something to it. And at the time, we had some different reactions from Ellie based on how strong you chose to make the drink. Something we wanted to prototype though, before it got cut, was picking up some ingredients around to add, like a lime or maybe a bottle of someone's favorite whiskey or salt, like you were earning upgrades. We also toyed with having Ellie carry around the drink you made and occasionally sip it, psyching herself up to go talk to Dina inside because she's nervous. It got too noodly though, because she would need to keep placing it somewhere before she did anything, so it would have ended up more trouble than it was worth. There's a hidden spot at the back that was just a bit of fun. It was highlighting Jackson's normalcy with something we would find in a real world. In the back, you would find teenagers finding some alone time with each other in a dark corner of a party. It was rewarding the player for peeking into a hidden corner, but ultimately redirecting them back to the festival. We also had versions of them smoking weed here, despite Maria's consternation, probably having gotten it from Eugene.
In this second deleted level, which is an extended sequence of the sewers in Seattle, this comes on the heels of where Ellie goes into a building and she survives an attack by stalkers and gets thrown out of a window and gets swept away by the current. And then we cut this section that used to be there in the final game. Now you will get to play it. So this was a way to get a bit more interesting puzzles, interesting traversal, figure out how Ellie can navigate the sewers with the fighting current. Ultimately, with a lot of these levels and these sequences, the reason why we cut them were for pacing purposes. But here it is for you in this very kind of raw form that part of it will feel finished, parts of it will feel like assets are missing as far as audio, animation won't be final, but it's a glimpse into what a game looks like when it's months away from finishing. Enjoy.
Get off of me! Okay. Okay. Fuck, Seattle. Okay. Where the hell am I?
The ladder acts as an immediate goal for the player, but being able to climb out is not going to be so easy. To keep levels interesting and engaging, we alternate between positive and negative values the player experiences. Here, it's a positive to have found a ladder,
Fucking
but
kidding me.
then a negative to discover it's not the solution. But then another positive to identify the next short-term goal of the doorway. By alternating between these opposing values, we give players what they expect, but not how they
Okay.
expect it.
There's gotta be another way out.
This level, internally known as Find Nora, was quite long in duration as we had to make Ellie traverse a far distance to the opposite side of downtown Seattle. The sewer section was originally longer than what we released the game with, approximately 10 minutes more. This was one of the few areas of the game that used water flow as part of a traversal puzzle. The player has to go upstream to use the current to get to the platform to reach the other side. We mostly cut this mechanic game-wide, however it remained in essence in the section swimming to the aquarium as Ellie, when you were avoiding the waves. When players reach the doorway and enter into the room, they're faced with a dead end. The real reason for this dead-end room is that on the reversal, when exiting back out of the doorway, players are faced with the route onwards. A pipe that they'd not been able to see when they were swept past it on the way in, and something that was hidden from view when on the side platforms. The intention here being that the only option is to go off the standard path in order to search for a way out.
What have we got here? Get me the hell out of here.
Throughout the rest of the level, we also used light to indicate to the player that they were heading in the right direction. At each turn, however, we blocked the direct route forward. Players would know that they just have to keep finding alternative paths, promoting those feelings of being desperate and trapped. We slowly introduced the player to consider climbing into smaller pipes and crouching in these tight spaces. This is to slowly build up to and encourage
Up
the
and
player
out.
to climb into such a small pipe
keep
that they
going
have
up
to
and
be
out.
crawling on their stomach, which is something that the player previously may not have recognised as a playable space, let alone the desired route they need to take. We added a tiny space just to reward the player's exploration with a pickup item, and we made sure it was something that made sense that you'd find in this area. A canister and all the garbage that had been washed into the sewers from the surface. We loved the idea of making Ellie prone through a tiny, dirty pipe in order to get out, as it was a great opportunity to use our prone mechanic. A unique camera setup was created to support crawling in these pipes, as the standard prone camera is much higher above the player. We also created custom collision in order for Ellie to manoeuvre in these tight spaces easily. Initially, the oblong collision capsule around her character caused issues crawling around corners. We put extra effort into the custom corner collision, so the movement experience is as smooth as the main game. In order for the player to feel cramped, claustrophobic and desperate, we'd been enforcing the traversal mechanics that allow for a tight environment which promote these feelings. We introduced the use of the squeeze-through so that we can keep the player feeling enclosed and tight, but without repeating the same geometry. Here we change from low ceilings with wider walls to high ceilings and tight walls to change up the spatial pacing and keep the level from repeating itself.
This would be a really shitty place to die.
Originally, we had the waterline much higher here, so players had to swim through this tight tunnel. However, from watching user test feedback, it was occasionally causing people to discount the route entirely and turn back on themselves. So to avoid any risk of this happening in the final game, we present a lower water level so the tunnel is easy to see and commit to using. Although this isn't as impactful without the prone swim, it's the better decision as it means a smoother experience for the player with no backtracking frustration. We draw the player towards this pipe as it is seemingly the route out of the tight space. Fairly soon it is obvious that this path is blocked. If the player goes all the way up to the bars that block the path, they are rewarded with a pickup so this journey doesn't feel wasted. It is important to encourage the player to try to progress along this path so that they would subtly be thinking of progress in this direction. We hint to the player that there is a bigger, new space beyond this pipe by showing the player the waterfall. This helps players consider the other route where they don't know how far the tunnel is or whether they'd make it. As we surface from the water and over the crest of the slope, we reveal what is further in this tunnel. A clicker that has sprouted and the fungus has grown on the sides of the pipe. It was great to see people who user tested this area becoming increasingly worried as we forced the player to squeeze past the fungus and inches away from the clicker's face, all the time not being sure whether the clicker might be alive or attack them. Although we aren't as cruel as to force a clicker attack in such close proximity, we do have a payoff for this moment. This clicker momentarily turned into Joel to show Ellie's PTSD from what happened to Joel at the start of the game. Ultimately, we decided to save this moment for the farm level, as it was more impactful there because it could become the centrepiece of that experience. Whereas in the sewers, we weren't able to make it as much of a narrative point and give it the breathing room and reaction time that it deserves, given the tight space.
Oh shit!
For the final section, we eventually opened you out into a wider area as you traverse through such tight spaces leading up to this. So changing the environmental pacing makes it begin to feel like we're coming to the end of Ellie's ordeal. An earlier iteration used the current that we'd shown at the start for a slightly tougher traversal puzzle to conclude the sewers. The ladder was clearly visible from most of the area, but the player was faced with a fast-flowing torrent of water they couldn't cross. If the player attempted to jump into the water, they were not able to swim across the ladder due to the water's speed. But instead, they had to traverse the pipe running along the top of the space in order to get across the water. This is the first time we get to see stalkers that are embedded into the walls. So this optional room is a nice little early extra that the player gets if they explore. We also use the pickups to lure players over to be close enough to trigger the stalker's attack. And this caused quite a few jump scares with user testers who played our game before its release. Using this pipe was retained in the iteration we shipped with, as it's the last of the extreme methods Ellie has to undergo in order to escape the sewers, and what she will go through in her pursuit of revenge. The last ladder climb is quite lengthy, and although we could have trimmed it down to a shorter climb, we liked how this last segment of the journey built anticipation for whether there was success at the top or not after all you've been through. Ultimately, the ladder exits out into the subway station, which is how it connects in the final game. Ellie then has to find her way to the hospital from here, crossing paths with the Scars for the first time.
For this third and final deleted level, what we call the boar hunt sequence, this was a sequence pretty late in the game. It was right after the whole Seattle Abby sequence where Abby spares Ellie. And then we wanted to come back into Ellie's story, but keep it a bit mysterious of how much time has passed, where is Ellie now? So we're coming in on Ellie and she's following a trail of blood. And we wanted to mirror in a way the deer hunt sequence from the first game, but this time do it with a boar. And there's something with Ellie that now she can't let go of this violence. She's pursuing it, even against this innocent animal. This was another opportunity to show how the violence that Ellie has experienced, the violence that she witnessed being afflicted onto Joel, is still sticking with her, and she's still experiencing these PTSD moments. This was a sequence that was pretty far along and was cut pretty late in production. Parts of it are still really rough, but the gameplay, the building blocks were all there. I think you'll have fun to see, like, again, a rough, unfinished sequence that you can play. You can see all the way to the end, and including a cinematic that we end up cutting. And the remnants of the sequence ended up being mentioned in Ellie's journal. So this part of the story that we developed still made its way into the game as kind of optional stuff that you could read about, but here you get to experience it. So as a reminder, this is pretty rough, months away from being finished, but you get to see it now.
So the boar hunt was one of the hardest levels for me to work on. It was a huge challenge with the systems that we had, and we kept trying, but it never felt quite right. Originally, the level happened after the Jackson Festival, which also got cut, but before Farm. Once the festival got cut, it became the prologue to Farm. The intended experience is that we jump forward in time after the fight with Abby in the theater. We don't know where Dina is. We likely assume she's dead because she was just bleeding out. Ellie is alone. Her hair is short. So maybe this is the future or the present. And she's hunting. Hunting who? Abby still? In early iterations of the fight, it was more arena-like. The player slowly whittles down the boar's health. Ellie gets more visceral and more vicious. We get a little worried about her. As the boar gets weaker, more panicked, more feral, and we start feeling sympathetic to the boar was the hope. In all of these iterations, especially of these wider areas, it required custom AI and scripting to make sure it continued to feel organic as an animal, but we really needed it to do specific stuff. It needed to be able to close distances really, really quickly. It needed to charge to attack, but we wanted the feeling of hunting, so we needed to track it down from afar. And we also needed to discourage the player from attacking the boar when it's that close, or it would kind of turn into this melee kerfuffle. How do we do this in our world while keeping the boar believable? We must have gone through 5 or 6 iterations of the boar fight and all, and every single time it changed pretty drastically.
Gotcha.
We split it into clear phases, where one was like all long range. We tried another where you're getting close and you get the jump on it quite literally. You're jumping off of a rock to attack it. And then finally, we tried a bunch where you almost sort of go around a bunch of trailers and try and wrestle it. We uncovered after some time that taking down a boar over several phases felt very laborious and a little dramatic, It was comically long, it felt too boss-like, a little too gamey. We decided to cut the first few phases, and we opted for a cold open after the boar had already been hurt off screen. So that allowed us to focus on feeling like we're closing in on prey and to introduce the boar when it was at its most dangerous. Already hurt, already feral, much too close for comfort. And so the thinking was it would bring us more into Ellie's mindset. Is this really hunting for food, or is she hunting for some other reason? The gas station was built to highlight the boar's destructiveness. Since it's cramped, the boar feels larger. We also feel trapped with it, though perhaps it's trapped with us. When it charges, it gets to us quickly, so we must be on our toes. This made it more aligned with Ellie's sort of hunting for trouble mindset. Listening became more important, as well as moving around slowly so it didn't hear you. Could you spot it before it saw or heard you? And could you get a shot off quickly enough so you could dodge out of the way? Or is the shot worth the cost after? It feels like a gamble. By the end of the fight, everything would likely be in shambles, the boar would burst through the back, and Ellie would follow it and finally enact revenge.
Okay. I can't see shit. Got you. Super. Nowhere to run.
The boar kill was supposed to be anything but glorious. With the boar whimpering at the back of the gas station after Ellie's relentless hunt. After this, hearing the drone that we kind of come to associate with Ellie's trauma, we would hard cut to the stream where she's washing her hands and holding rabbits that she hunted, about to return to Dina. And there would be no mention of the boar.
There were all these other versions of how Ellie lost her fingers. Remember, Hallie, of like, there used to be when someone was waiting for her at the farm and then tortured her in retribution for what happened in Seattle.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like the parent or somebody
Yeah.
of somebody who died, of like an NPC essentially, who came, and so you're seeing that cyclical nature of violence of like, you killed my person, you killed my person, you killed my person. So somebody you didn't even realize you'd really killed tracks Ellie down.
I love how you pin her with your knee.
Yeah. So originally the conception was that Abby dies here, and it would have been such a different game, I think, if
Yeah.
if right now there was just a body underwater and Ellie was having this moment. Yeah, you didn't know that?
I did not know Abby died here originally.
Well, yeah, originally, like, I think both Yara and Lev died. And this was just Abby by herself when you meet up with her. And then Ellie kills Abby.
Rough.
Yeah.
I think leaving Ellie with 3% of the humanity that she got from who she was, that good kid, that scrappy kid that Joel helped shape. I think if she killed Abby, you would never see that kid again. And this gives a hope that she's still in there a little bit and could be maybe revived in the same way that Abby was revived in the right circumstance.
I agree.
Seeing the reactions, there's people that wanting to know, what was it exactly that made Ellie stop? Is it Lev? Is it this memory of Joel? Is it everything she's experienced? Is it just like Abby's state, that it's not this person that defeated her in the theater? To me, it's all those things. The way our brains work is so messy, and that's the story was always meant to be very messy in that way. That there aren't these clear-cut answers.
To me, that moment is 2 more seconds, this girl is dead. So I already know what this feels like. I can see what I'm going to feel like 5 seconds from now,
Yes.
and it's no different.
Yes.
So why? Originally, the house was fully empty, and there was a concern, I think, that we had that it's going to feel like something bad happened to Dina, and we don't want to make it feel like it's...
Right.
That's the thought in her head. It's more, Dina has made that choice to move back.
She had to move back too. She couldn't stay there alone with a baby. It was too dangerous.
But I do think there's something poetic in, like, she didn't take Ellie's things with her.
Yeah.
There wasn't a, I'm waiting for
I'm
you, I'm
leaving
going to
this
build a home.
behind.
It's I'm letting this, I'm
Letting it
letting
go.
this die, yeah, here. And I'm going to let everything rot for you.
Well, that's really bleak.
Yeah, we wanted to create a metaphor for the unintended consequences of pursuing justice at any cost. And here we get to feel it of this song that means so much to Ellie, she just can't play it anymore. Also interesting thinking about Joel's headspace right now, like just been humiliated by Ellie in front of everyone. Who knows what's going through his head, but for me, sometimes when I get just filled with anxiety, it's guitar. It's just sitting down and just jamming and just...
Yeah, not even playing a song, just playing through something.
And we've had this scene at different spots of the game until we finally landed. It's this final moment.
Yeah, I think originally we were going to put it before the midpoint showdown of the game.
Right.
Oh, it plays so much better at the end.
Yeah, no,
It does.
now you can't imagine it anywhere else
Yeah.
once it's here.
What are you drinking?
Traded his soul for coffee.
Where'd you get that?
Those people that came through last week.
I would do the
I'm
same.
embarrassed as to what I had to trade.
This is the most Ashley has ever pushed back on a scene.
Wait,
really?
Which this was because originally it was written that they hug at the end of this scene, and you're like, I don't know if they would. I'm not sure we could get all the way there. You were a sport about it, and we did two versions, one with a hug, one without a hug, and they were both very, very good. But ultimately, you were right. They're starting to forgive each other, but they're not fully there. Ultimately, makes it more tragic.
Yeah. I think that's why she goes on this journey, because it's just like it was never solved. Our relationship was never fixed.
Dina. Is she your girlfriend?
No. No, that was just one kiss. It doesn't mean anything. I don't know why she did that.
But you do like her.
They just have like a father-daughter moment. Just this
Yeah.
exchange about this crush that she has on this other girl, and Joel telling her like she would be lucky to have you. Again, he has unconditional love for Ellie, and that's what drives her mad. It'd be so much easier if he was
If
just
he
a
was
complete
just-
piece of shit.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
you could just forget about him,
Yeah.
but you can't.
I mean, that's what's hard. I mean, she knows that he cares, and she knows that he does love her.
I was supposed to die in that hospital.
I also love that you
My life
bring
don't
it back
fucking
to
matter.
we're talking around the thing that we need to talk
But
about.
you took that from
And
me.
you doing all of these gestures to try to make it better is not what I want. I'm going to bring it back to what the issue is, and that's I should have died in that hospital.
I also love watching. When do you both decide to make eye contact?
Oh, right. Interesting.
And it's like right here for the watch at the end of this statement for emphasis. All eye contact. Because I am dead serious. I don't care the cost. I would do it all over again, even if it means I'd lose you.
There is something to be said for your writing in this, which is I would do it all over again, and I would do it all over again. Walk the knife's edge of meaning, because there's one that is repentant and there is one that is resolute.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that.
Like this false moment, I can never forgive you for that. And he's ready to accept it. And then he's all of a sudden, but I'd like to try. And then I think the waterworks for everyone
Yeah.
just start right here. We did a lot of work of just writing these scenes and not being heavy-handed to talk about theme, but there is something about just the placement of the scene here. And it's a scene about getting over some horrible transgression that one feels. Because there's other things that are worthwhile in this world than just kind of living in this resentment next to the moment where Ellie decides to let Abby go. And whether she fully forgives her or not almost doesn't even matter. It's just she knows there's other things in life that are more worth putting your focus on. It's interesting seeing since the game has come out. It's been out for a few years now. How many different interpretations there are for this leaving of the guitar here. Whether it's she's fully forgiven Joel, or whether she's fully forgiven Abby, or whether she's willing to move on, or whether she just doesn't want to be under Joel's shadows anymore. And when people always I don't know if you get this often, people often come to me and they want the answer. They're like, which one is it? And I'm like, it's all those things. It's all those things in some way. Like people's minds are so
is.
complicated.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's what we've been talking about with grief and how that can sort of manifest in somebody.
I'll caveat by saying this is my own interpretation. And it doesn't mean that it's right. It's just mine. But sometimes you have so many triggers for trauma that you just need to let anything that might trigger you, you just have to let it go and start over.
I mean, how I felt in that moment of it's easier just to not get close to people.
We know when we were writing this, we had so many conversations about leaving it on a hopeful note. And even though it's very dark, I do find it to be a hopeful note. It's left with that question of once you've committed all these atrocities yourself, can you come back from that? And we saw that Joel was able to. and then maybe Ellie could as well. We really wanted to show or build trust between Joel and Tommy and this group to show that without their help, they might have died, meaning Tommy and Joel would have died without this group. Another one where I think I'm like screaming out to all like the actors, okay, now they're burning. Now like there's a lot of fire. And you gotta speak up over the storm. Again, none of those elements are there.
Let's get inside!
And right now, only Abby knows what's about to go down. Everybody else thinks like, oh, we just found friendly people that helped us along. We captured this all as one go, from here all the way to the golf club hit. And initially we had versions of it where it was edited to be multiple cuts. And then it felt like it could just be way more tense if the whole thing was one shot. Required a lot of stitching of different performances and different elements, and some tweaking of stuff in animation, but
You have no idea.
yeah, I find that this scene has so much tension, the way it now moves.
We rehearsed it so many times before we shot it to make all the moving parts work.
From a directing side, that this can be hard as well because you're trying to pay attention to so many actors and making sure it's all feeling honest and authentic.
Y'all should come back with us, restock before you head out.
Appreciate it.
Again, there's no ambush here. They're all being authentic
This is my brother.
until this moment. And now everything has changed.
We knew this was going to be the most controversial scene in the whole game, and the intention is that it is brutal and it is hard to watch, which obviously as a player is really difficult to go through, but it puts you in alignment with Ellie. You're watching this devastation to this man that you've come to love as a character, and now you're watching him be brutally murdered. And it should be upsetting, it should hurt. A lot of people are still really upset about it, but what a faster way, I can't think of a faster way to help you understand why Ellie is going to go as far as she's going to go, because we're there seeing how this thing was stolen from her.
Yeah, this interplay of like, you want him to suffer, and he's not giving you the satisfaction of like, I don't care who you are, do your worst.
Mm-hmm.
And you try.
Yeah.
You try to do your worst.
Joel's not a man who begs.
That is a conversation I had with Troy about how prepared he was. He's lived for 20 years, 25 years at this point of like, just always accepting that this day might come. Something like this will happen because it always happens in this world.
Yeah, it's irrelevant to him who they are or why they're doing this, because there are so many people who could want to do this to him, given the life he's led.
I just remember shooting it and being like, this moment you've worked towards for so long and wanting it to feel right and wanting it to feel good. And it happens and you just feel fucking empty.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've talked
Clear
about
out.
it, Neil. Like, you had talked to me about this role, and you told me about this character, Abby, and you told me what you were planning for her. And she had like a different story, I think, at the time, how they met and everything. But I was excited and terrified because, like, as a player, that's traumatizing. And I didn't know how people were going to react to it.
You don't get to rush this.
Yeah, we had versions of this sequence where Ellie came in after the fact, and it just felt we needed her to see it to really set up this journey.
Yeah, this was rough. This was a rough day on set because I knew we were losing a character that we all love very deeply. You know, even the imaginary circumstances of that are just hard. It's also our, you know, all of our friendship, my friendship with Troy. So just seeing that and
What I remember more than anything is, we're going through the mechanics of it, and we're stupid suits on a soundstage, and there's all of these machinations and things that are keeping it goofy. But the one thing that cuts through the din of all that is when I look over at Ashley. Because being the great actor that you are, all of those things go away, and all you see is the moment that we're trying to create and the reality of what this scene is for you personally. And everything that I'm feeling, everything that I'm thinking is gone because I'm just watching. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to watch that scene without it bringing me to that place, ever. But the thing that has been proven to me is because of the way that I feel, because it's so hard, it is absolutely the most honest, perfect version of this story. There's no other version of this story. There just isn't.
And for this version of the scene, it was important that we were in Ellie's head, that you don't get to hear this conversation that's happening around her. But this was just about the ringing of the ears of pure hatred and anger that she's experiencing right now. And just this final look right here where she sees him and you can't fix this. Well, she's gonna try to find a way to fix it.
yeah, she's gonna try to find a way to fix it in the best way she knows how.
Oh,
Here.
this is
Yeah, this
the
is the
mask
scene.
break.
I remember just fighting. I was like, I just have to make sure her hands never touch the mask.
I remember talking to you about this, Neil. Like, you were like, it's like she's committing suicide in front of you. Is like what it is.
Oh,
like,
yeah. 'Cause
you
as
know,
far as you know, she is.
yeah, and so that's where that reaction came from. Was he was like, she's killing herself in front of you. Is what it looks like to you.
Oh, this is the scene that everybody hates us for.
The great mislead.
The great mislead. Yep.
I guess maybe we should talk about that. When we released that first trailer for the game, a lot of people guessed that Joel was dead. And we were worried that after that point, it'll be too obvious. So how can we throw them off the scent? And that's when we came up with the idea of swapping Joel and Jesse here, which I have mixed feelings about in hindsight. It got people excited about something that wasn't there. And, our motivation was in the right place of trying to protect the story, but didn't maybe think it through of how it might upset some people.
I remember when that trailer came out, then everybody I knew assumed that then it meant I was going to die.
Right.
And
which then we just leaned into with other trailers.
Yeah. And everybody was like texting me being like, oh my God, you die. Like, and they were like, it's so embarrassing for you. I was like, what? Wait, I can't say anything. And I was just like, lol. LOL. Haha. Meanwhile, I think when the trailer came out, we were in the studio that day. We were doing VO, and so we were like watching all the, and I was like,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
I also like that we get to establish, Jesse's in charge, but we never get to see why. Why is this guy so good at what he does? And now we get to see it and get to experience it in gameplay.
Okay.
You ready?
Oh, Hotline Miami. Or as this lady is so famously known as Vita Girl.
Oh, yeah, because she's got her PS Vita.
Named Nora.
And this scene was already kind of like laying out hints that
We're in the hospital.
even if Ellie's trying to avoid violence, it's going to find her. Right? So she doesn't mean to kill this person.
You gotta respect her efficiency, though.
I mean,
One shot.
one shot wonder.
No looking back either. Straight to gameplay.
There's this progression that with each one of these like revenge kills, we wanted Ellie to lose more and more of her humanity in a way that she doesn't even understand what is happening to her. So you could see a lot of this, and again, I love how you play this, which is you're amping yourself up. You kind of know what you're going to have to do here. And having the willpower, again, to hurt someone to such a degree.
Yeah, there's a bit of a trying to stall a little bit. Like maybe there's some other way out of this.
There are no fireflies anymore.
Where's Abby?
Yeah, now we're at a point where she thinks all she needs is Abby to feel better about the whole thing.
And that's where it feels like you can feel that she's still a kid because she's looking for this thing to try to fix it, and that's not it.
It's interesting to think about the scene from Nora's perspective, which is like how much she's willing to sacrifice to try to help her friend. She's bracing herself because she knows what's
She
coming.
knows.
Like, Nora's a pretty commendable character
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
other side.
And it was important just to add this little bit of interactivity to make the player complicit in this.
People don't come back from that island. The roughest scene in the game?
One of them.
I'm not fucking going there.
Ashley Birch, Patrick Fugit.
Seeing these glimpses of this other crew and not quite understanding what this fight is about or what the conflict is.
Hands up.
Only later just getting the rest of the context. And this is Ellie trying to be Joel. Ellie trying to do the Joel technique of... And this is another one of the situations where Ellie doesn't want to kill them. She just wants Abby. But the situation gets away from her. I love that she's just on razor's edge of just her emotions completely taken over.
Yeah, she definitely doesn't quite, because she's inexperienced in this type of behavior, she doesn't quite have the calm, cool, and collected way of doing it like Joel did.
And we wanted in this exploration of, the pursuit of justice at any cost, that to show that there's always a cost. And, in the cycle of violence, there's often unintended consequences. And the idea that Ellie inadvertently kills a pregnant woman just felt like a great metaphor for that. But it definitely horrified some of the people at the studio that heard this pitch.
Yeah. It's an interesting question of, at this point in Ellie's obsession, what could she see that would make her pause, that would make her seriously question after torturing Nora, after leaving Dina behind?
Well,
you need something big
Yeah.
to wake her up.
And I love how you play this panic attack right here. And just the audio design for it as well. And we do this trick when Tommy comes in. We actually recorded a line with Troy. So she hears Joel for like a split second. So you show like all these things are just interconnected in her mind now. All these like traumatic events.
Yeah, she's not built for this.
And just show what a good guy Jesse is. It's like he went and got Tommy and said, "We got to hurry and get to Ellie at the aquarium."
Mm-hmm.
This was another like clue chain thing we needed to do to set up for later with Abby, is the idea that Ellie has this map, and in the chaos of this whole moment, she dropped it and didn't even realize it. Poor Danny. This is where Abby gets such a relief that it's not Owen, because this whole time there's this dread building that she thinks she's about to see Owen's body.
Where's Owen?
I don't know. A few days back, there were some Scar sightings out by the marina.
Character model has incredible arms.
Danny and Owen were sent on a
Yes, I was
Incredible
just looking at her
This
arms.
morning, the guards found
I mean,
Danny
everybody
classified
talks about Abby's arms, but
Yeah, but damn.
Nora's arms.
Nora's the sleeper.
with a bullet in his stomach.
In this scene, we finally establish what's about to become
Isaac talked with him until the
Abby's
crowd
next
split.
goal, which is
As far as
rescue
I can
Owen.
tell, there's no units going back
And we come back to the theme of this
What about Owen?
this series,
What happened?
which
Yeah,
is
I
love.
tried. But he gave me that fucking look, and then he told me to keep quiet about it. Which
This is
means
one more
you
example
can't
of the tribe
say
within the
shit.
tribe of she's telling them stuff they should not know. Because she trusts them, she cares for them more than she cares for the wolves, the WLF.
Where is Isaac?
Now we gotta go see the big man.
Last I heard, he was in the apartments.
It's kind of cool to, again, build this guy up and then give you a glimpse of the person that runs the WLF.
You know what you guys find out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice mirror here of the injury Joel had in the hospital in the first game. Yeah, we're constructing this. We wanted to injure Ellie badly. So again, she's choosing the pursuit of this thing over her own health, that she will likely die if she sees this all the way through.
I would argue she is dead already.
Doing this upside down hair was such a pain, because they have to essentially, you can't just move the hair upside down. You have to remodel the whole thing. And we wanted her to have lost so much blood. It's again, the whole thing is starting to feel like a fever dream, and she thinks she's seeing like Abby and Lev, and then realizes, oh no, it's
We got a live one.
very different people.
Travis and Logic.
This was another moment to show how far Ellie has come, and how easier it is for her to kill someone in cold blood now versus the earlier parts of the story. And one more instance where she could use her superpower of being immune to get herself out of these jams. And what she's employing here is very similar to what Nora did to her, which is like try to insult them so they could get reckless. And in that recklessness, she'll find the opening.
Something funny?
Looks like you shit your pants.
It's good, Drew. I remember in this scene when I take the gun off of Bobby, the strap in one of the takes went across his neck, and I gave him a really bad rope burn.
Oh no.
Because I just like yanked it really quickly, and he had that for about a week.
Oh
It
no.
looked really, I was like, oh no. It looked like he was strangled or something.
But he looked badass.
He was
Yeah.
so excited. It was like, oh my God, Ellie killed me. He was such a fan of the game.
Right. He was excited.
I love how efficient that action is right there. Of just grabbing the gun, spraying across his legs. And watch this little smirk that you give when he points out your bite. Because he doesn't know you're immune. No one's immune.
She had a scrawny kid with cuts by his mouth.
Travis Willingham.
Yeah, that's her.
Look at just there, your face there is like the.
Let me go.
It's like she's getting another hit of her drug. Of like, I'm actually back on the trail.
Get to her before
She's so close, you can feel it.
Watch this smile. Looks at the bite. Right
Talk.
there.
she's in a holding cell at our camp.
Where is that?
Head that way till you hit the railroad track. That'll lead you to a resort.
It's like, had this exchange happened earlier, if she killed someone in cold blood earlier, there'd be a very different reaction. It's like she's becoming more and more like Joel at this point, more and more capable and more cold about the violence, where she could just execute it and move on and not think twice about it.
I think at this point she's completely disassociated from the Ellie
Like,
we've
she's
ever known.
staring him in the eye as he's dying. And just a hint that the injury's getting worse and worse.
But again, she's not going to stop.
She can't. Not yet.
Traxter Resort. Tall round building. Traxter Resort. Tall round building. Fuck.
Over here! Aim for his leg!
We'll go back. Is that a gun? He's got a gun! Go back! God damn it.
Shit.